Welcome to our daily hobbies. I'm Meek and Nomicon, and today I'm playing through the game Void of Desire, where a being from another world has come into ours to ask for help to gain revenge and blood. For a long time, I'd been anxious about work and responsibility. The typical hustle and bustle of frenzy of modern daily life had me up against the wall. I hadn't been able to sleep for days due to stress. Fatigue was beginning to take its toll on me, so I decided to take a week's holiday to disconnect from the routine. I decided to go to a place on the outskirts of the city where there were some small wooden cabins, next to some houses away from the deafening noise of everyday life. And that's how it all started. Again. This same dream again. I'm tired of always seeing the same sky. That's a very goopy noise. Soon, you will be in my hands. With that withered heart, with each other and eternal ruin. Let yourself go, and you will see how everything ends. I only had 7 days to rest and unwind, but I was unable to feel comfortable or calm. Whenever my eyelids managed to close, I always had the same dream. Crimson skies and a voice calling me. I was already on my 4th day out of the 7 I had to be here. I felt like I was wasting time and not taking advantage of the opportunity I had to heal my mind in this little respite. Once my holiday is over, I have to go back to the city and to work, but in this state, I would be unable to do so. It's time for me to do something. Around the cabin, I only had one neighbor. Her name was Vin. We hadn't talked much, but whenever we ran into each other, she stopped to greet me politely. She was already living here before I arrived, for who knows how long. It is something that caught my attention, since we are quite far from any store or telephone signal. Apparently, she had a little sister, or so I guessed. I didn't want to meddle too much in their lives either. Since they weren't human, I didn't want meddling where I'm not wanted. Other than that, there wasn't much else to do in this place other than enjoy nature. Something that I certainly wasn't used to. A peace that I longed for and was now unable to enjoy. Poor me. I felt that, after all, time was running against me and I was still stuck doing nothing positive. So I put on my walking boots with the intention of taking a little walk in the woods. I thought it would ease my mind. Let me guess, I was wrong. I was walking alone through the forest. The afternoon rays coloured the fallen leaves and branches, as well as putting blinding glare on the smooth surfaces of the little rocks. The beam of light seemed to guide my steps on a path that only the sun could mark me. The sound of my boots breaking through the brush was accompanied by the sporadic chirping of some distracted bird. There wasn't much wildlife in this area. There weren't any people or inhabitants either, as well as those scariest half-humans. I don't have to fear or worry about anything. Because yes, apparently, that kind of beings also suffer from stress like us and need to have a holiday. Get away from the modern world and go back to their roots. Something that seemed almost like a mockery, pretending to be a human. But I wasn't one to judge them either. I don't know. You seem to be judging them. However, I did suspect that many times my nightmares and discomfort was due to the presence of them. See, that's the point you get a little bit judgy. Do you know for a fact if it was them? Some seemed more human, or at the very least, more pleasing to the eye. Others, on the other hand, quite the opposite. We had always known about their existence, but they had always stayed in that way. Stories. Stories to scare children in towns furthest from technology, where magic and superstition was still believed. I guess they never abandoned us. They were just there, discreetly, perhaps out of fear of rejection, to be exterminated due to irrational human hatred. Now, they are getting closer and living with us more and more. I can't say that I feel a deep rejection towards them. I never got used to their differences. Well, that has nothing to do with me either. I prefer to think that now the world and life show their true forms without fear. As I walked, focused on my thoughts, and without paying attention to my surroundings, I came to where there seemed to be a great tree, larger than the rest, majestically crowning the centre of the forest. Its withered branches webbed the sky above me. I'm a little tired. I'm not used to walking so much. I think I'll rest for a bit under this tree. I lay down, moving some stones away from the site. It's getting dark now, and I haven't done anything productive yet. I guess if I feel guilty about resting, that's more than enough reason for me to really take these days off seriously. Wait, if it's getting dark, shouldn't I be heading back to my cabin? I slowly closed my eyes, while I felt the last breeze of the afternoon wrap me in gentleness. This feels like a bad idea. Are we gonna get lost in the woods? Because we're clearly gonna have a nap and wake up in the dark, right? At that moment, I could feel how I became one with the entire forest, with everything that was there. And that made me feel protected, safe, calm down. But... Ah! I screamed in pain. What has cut me? An insect? I raised my hand to see the source of the pain. I had a slight cut deep enough that my blood came out slowly and steadily. Damn! I'll have to go back to the cabin and tend to the wound before it gets infected. But can I know how this happened to me? After saying my slight complaint, I heard something move behind the tree. Maybe what had done this to me was a small animal? I got up and went to check it out of curiosity. I walked around the huge log and examined the ground. A burrow. Behind that big log, there was a big hole so deep you couldn't see the end of it. I moved closer to get a better look. It's too deep. What kind of animal did this? Or maybe it's a natural hole? Is it bad? Then I kinda wanna go down it. Is it big enough for us to go explore it? It's just a simple hole, but somehow it feels like Kazuya was calling me. Every second that I spent contemplating the immense darkness of that tunnel, I felt more and more hypnotized. Like a sailor before the song of a siren, I felt that I was being dragged towards its infinity. I reached out my hand. I wanted to touch that darkness. I wanted to be part of it, to feel it in a poetic way, for nothingness to merge with me. A slight drop of blood emanated from the wound. It slipped down to the tip of my finger as it traced the dirt-stained lines in my skin. After a few seconds, it fell. I waited carefully and with all my attention so I could gauge when that droplet hit the ground. It didn't. There was no sound of impact coming out of the darkness. So, are you trying to imply this is a bottomless hole? We go to the center of the earth. Instead, something else did come out of the depths. It'd be Lilith. in all her goopy sound gloriness. Finally, this drop of pure blood was all that I needed. Now, my thirst is partially quenched. My sight was stuck in the abyss. The more you look into the abyss also looks into you. I felt that those famous words took on a literal meaning. I didn't know where I was. Perhaps I had fallen without realizing it. No, that was impossible. I just knew that voice, that sweet whisper soothed me. I took a breath. Did I dive in? I think I did. This pleases me. What is this sight? It's like one of your dreams come true, Kazuya. I turned to see who was behind me. This drop of blood you offered me, it was what I needed to wake up my numb body. What? Who are you? What is this place? Where am I? Don't you know? You have attracted me. I only responded. Now, you are in the void. I took a few steps back to put distance between myself and that woman. I've been watching you, Kazuya. You have a lot of confusion and too many questions. But why don't you sit down? Whatever you seek, I will give you answers. You are now in my realm. The realm of endless void. But fear not, dear Kazuya. I was locked up and trapped here for a long time. No one ever heard my prayer and lament. From here, monsters and creatures are born. This is where emotions and nightmares flow. I just need you to listen to this ancient creature from the abyss. Wait, so maybe we were right about one of these monsters giving us the nightmares? Because it's kind of sounded like Lilith was calling out to us in our dreams, right? Because I want to ask for your help. Help? That's right. Help. I need you. And what could someone like you want from me? I want to go outside, with you. I want to leave these chains. I can't do it alone. To do this, I need you to summon me out of here. Build a bridge between the two of us. Why should I do it? Why? That woman seemed deeply annoyed by my question. The tentacles that wrapped around her, as well as those that came out of the ground, began to move violently. Because I have chosen you capriciously. I have a special interest in you. I am a harbinger of excess and desire, and you seemed like the best fit for me, don't you think? She laughed in a mocking way without batting an eye. I can feel the confusion and instability in your mind, and that makes me shiver. And what happens if I refuse? Do you want to know? She came dangerously close to me in a threatening tone. Kazuya? She put her face inches from mine and whispered, You just have to pour a drop of your blood anywhere dark enough for my wish to dwell there. And so, I will inevitably come out. I looked at her without saying anything. I know you will. I know you're a good, obedient boy. And when you've done it, we'll have a nice chat. What do you think? She took my face with both hands and closed my eyes with her putrid and sharp fingers. Shh. Now, wake up. I'm back? I fell asleep and dreamed again of... Before I finished the sentence, I looked at my finger in amazement. I had the scarred wound on my hand. No. I got up and started walking back to the cabin. Okay, so I'm thinking Lilieth is still a kind of god being in this story, right? So I don't think exactly trying to ignore her is going to end well for us. I kept completely silent, trying to assimilate the encounter I had a moment ago. What had just happened? Who was that monster? A goddess or just another strange demi-human? Before I reached the entrance to my cabin, Rin was there too, perhaps making the same journey back as me. Is that you, Kazuya? She was waving her slim hand to where I was, almost like an automatic and instinctive reaction to the sound of my footsteps. Rin was a demi-human girl. It was easy to see from the various seams that ran down her body. She had her eyes sewn shut, and she was blind. Despite her cold appearance, she was very kind. Ever since I met her on this site, she always greeted me cautiously. Yes, it's me. Are you coming back from a walk too? Well, yes. I just went to get some fresh air, since today seems to be a special day. Don't you think so? Of course. I continued on my way to the cabin. She didn't seem like a bad girl, but the appearance of the demi-human still made me nervous. Kazuya, are you alright? I hear your voice trembling a bit. She stopped me suddenly to ask, does it look like it? I'm fine, nothing's wrong. And who has the pleasure of accompanying you? Accompany? Am I wrong? I thought I heard the sound of someone else walking behind you. When she told me that, I obviously thought of the being I had just seen a few minutes ago, which made my blood run cold. No, I'm alone, and I'm fine. Oh, really? Excuse me then. But if you need anything, feel free to let me know. Of course. Thank you. I continued until I left her behind. Did she really hear someone else following me? No, that's impossible. There's no one else. I finally reached my cabin, breathing a sigh of relief. Before going inside, I stopped in front of the door. For a few seconds, I pondered the remote possibility that she or something had followed me ever since. So I quickly turned around to scan my surroundings. There was no one there. I'd better get in here and forget what happened, or I'll really go crazy. I hesitantly grabbed the knob on the old antique door and pulled hard. I kicked off my boots from the dust and dirt of the field as I peered into the gloom. When I finished, I took off my shoes and lay down on one of the more soft sofas, with a typical creak and some springs already consumed by old age. I tried to calm down as I thought about what had happened. I was still confused and debating whether what I experienced was a dream or not. I raised my hand, and I still had a slight cut on my finger. No, it wasn't a dream or a hallucination, I'm sure. So, I didn't quite understand my encounter or what that woman asked of me. Inevitably, I also remembered her warning. If I don't do what she asked, will I be in danger? Both fear and terror, as well as rage and helplessness, took over me. See, I don't think I'd be in too much danger, because inevitably she needs me more than I need her. And if she had someone else she could go to, I'm pretty sure I would have been dead as soon as I questioned her. So we might be not as in danger as we could be. Why should I listen to her and let her threaten me with something like this? I screamed in anguish. I was supposed to just want to relax and distract myself. How did I get to this no matter of hours? Damn! I don't know what I can do. Wait, she said she was stuck in there a long time. Maybe Rin or her sister, who have been here longer than me, know something. But should I tell them? What if I don't warn them and I am in real danger? Ah! I pressed my fists against my head, as if that gesture would help me think better. Should I tell Rin what happened, or keep it a secret? No, I can't tell them this. First, I don't know if doing that would make her even angrier with me. It could be dangerous for both me and them. Why not say so? I don't know them well enough just to trust some demi-humans. I'd better keep it a secret, at least for now. But what am I supposed to do? Am I to heed and obey what she asked me to do? I think I'll start by making myself some dinner first, and in the meantime, I'll think about this. While I cooked and cut the ingredients on the kitchen board, I thought about everything that happened. I didn't know who or what this being was, whether she was dangerous or not, or even if she would do to me after helping her. I had no idea of her intentions. What is she supposed to do when she's here? Try to behave like someone normal? Or is she completely instinctive? I didn't want to unleash a disaster, but I couldn't ask for help either. If I did, maybe it would be me who suffered a bad fate. When I finished cooking, I sat down on the couch, placing the hot plate on my lap, being careful not to burn myself. I dined in silence as I considered my next move. I chewed and chewed, tense and restless. When I was done, I put the plate in the sink and turned off the lights while I waited for night to come closer. It was already pitch black. If I was supposed to summon her in a very dark place, this was the easiest time. I went back to the kitchen, opened the drawer and got a knife. I checked what could be a suitable place to pour a few drops of blood, just as it happened in the forest. Under the bed, in a crack. In the end, I opted to do it in one of the corners of the room where I slept. It was dark enough that you couldn't see anything, even in the dim light of the moon. I got down on my knees, facing the jet black darkness in the room. I gripped the blade of the knife firmly, questioning my poor sanity and why I was in such a situation. I decided not to think so much and act more so that everything would end as soon as possible. That sounded like a deep slice. The blade lacerated the tip of my finger, and when the blood spurted out in drops, I hurled them into the darkness, as if it were a peasant throwing coins into a well of fortune. I didn't know what reaction or what to expect next. I didn't know if that was the only thing I had to do. I was in completely uncharted territory and given to chaos. No, nothing happens. Maybe I really lost my mind. Why did I agree to do something stupid like this? Ah, Lilith's here. Not yet, a voice from the darkness answered. You haven't completely lost your mind yet, Kazuya. It was her. From the darkness, in addition to her voice, I was also beginning to appreciate her eyes stuck on me. Watchful and stalking. Hypnotic. You did. You called me. I backed away, not out of fear, but out of caution. I'm already with you. Slowly and from afar, I heard footsteps. Where? You who offered your blood. I answer to you. where the soul perishes and the heart is lost. The sounds of her footsteps were getting louder. I never abandon you. Her shadowy silhouette began to form in front of me until she appeared completely before my eyes. You... What's wrong, Kazuya? Have you really lost your mind just to see a perfect being like me? I'm a real temptation, right? No, nothing like that. Just, I'm surprised you're actually here. Didn't I tell you? You don't have to be surprised. I know, but... I shook my head, trying to expel my confusion and fascination. Now, tell me, what did you want to achieve with this? Are you satisfied yet? I? Of course. Did you doubt it? You've done me a great favor, little Epilogue. So tell me, what else do you want from me? Do you already want me to disappear? Let me tell you that this is only the beginning. The beginning? The beginning of what? Oh dear. The beginning of many things, believe me. First of all, let me introduce myself. I guess I haven't done that before, right? She got closer to me, and I was on alert about what could happen. I am Lilieth. I am also called the Void Dweller, beast of 1,000 nightmares, temptress of souls, and countless other names. But don't let those prejudices fool you, however dark they may seem. I am a being full of kindness and emotions, as human as you. She laughed in a contained way. I imagine that you are also curious to know what is in the place where I come from. Am I wrong? No, you are not wrong. I want to know, what is that place that I have also been seeing in my dreams? That question is a simple answer, dear. I am attracted to weak-minded and weak-willed people. I could have noticed anyone else, but you caught my eye. I could feel your life and health slowly heading to doom. That makes it a lot easier to be able to manipulate someone to fulfilling your wishes, don't you think? Well, I mean, it certainly paid off for you. All you had to do was ask me once, and I summoned you. So, slowly, I was accommodating your sensitivity, so that every night when you slept, you felt attracted to me, listening to my voice, seeing my kingdom. That way, you wouldn't panic or go completely crazy when I appeared in front of you. You wouldn't be the first person to become irrational when you hear my voice. Also, in my realm of the abyss, negative emotions flow. Lust, pessimism, jealousy, revenge. When that cluster of emotions come together in the same point, place, object, or person, they can create a monster like me. But you have nothing to fear, Kazuya. I have chosen you to be with me and help me. Okay. This is all very... I swallowed hard, trying to understand this situation. What am I supposed to help you with? I've already made you come out of the void. What else do you want? The answer is simple. Revenge and blood. What are you talking about? I don't mean yours, sweet Ephilogue. I am talking about Shizu. Shizu? What name sounded very familiar to me? I was trying to remember it when... You know her. Although you haven't seen her, Do you know who she is? She is close, not far away. You mean Rin's sister? Right? Sister? She laughed again in an exaggerated way. That piece of meat called Rin has no sisters or brothers. Who made you believe that? Rin herself told me. She lies. Lies! And why are you supposed to want revenge against her? As far as I know, she is just a girl. It is impossible that she has... Why? Why? She interrupted me. That woman locked me in that void. She locked me up because she said I was a danger to other living beings. Can you believe that? I've been locked up there for so long. Alone. I just want to kill her so that she suffers the same fate as me. You'll help me. I'm not going to help you in something like that. Not even remotely. It's not a question, Kazuya. She interrupted me for the last time. But she reached out and wrapped her tentacles around me, pulling me onto the wooden floor. I don't think we get much of a choice in this. What are you doing? Make no mistake, little one. She brought her face close to mine. Her arms went around my neck and she kissed me under the astonished look in my eyes. You belong to me now, body and soul. I know you will. You don't have to think or question anything else. Just sleep and obey. I'm not going to. My energies vanished in an instant. Ah, of course. We have no choice in the matter. And so, both my consciousness and my vision faded, falling, perhaps, into a sweet and deadly sleep. When I opened my eyes again, it was already morning. How long have I been sleeping? Okay, so it's day 5, so at least we haven't lost any days. I got up slowly, my body aching from being on the ground for so many hours. Damn, what did that woman do to me? After I stood up, someone knocked on the door. Kazuya, are you there? It's Vin. 1 second, I'll open it now. I walked between whispered moans and wails towards the door. You finally open. I was worried. You haven't shown any signs of life since yesterday. I know. Excuse me. I was very tired and slept late. You don't need to apologize. It's just that you seemed a little nervous yesterday, and I was worried that something might happen to you. You're fine then, right? She extended her hands and took me by them. Yes, all good. I didn't expect such fleeting physical contact. She caressed my hands and stopped short, changing her expression slightly. I understand. I understand. Excuse me if I pushed too hard, Kazuya. It's fine, really. Don't worry. In that case, I'll let you rest. I have to go back to my sister for a moment. I hope you enjoy the day. Oh, right. Likewise, Rin. She made a small farewell gesture with her hand and quietly left. Well, I really feel exhausted. I think I should start by having some breakfast. When I walked in, Lilieth was there waiting. Was that Shizu's supposed sister? Yes, her name was Rin. Aha, I see. What do you know about her? From Rin? Not too much. From what I see, she's also a demi-human like Shizu. You remember that I told you yesterday Right, darling? What about? My thirst for blood and revenge. Don't forget that. I'm here for that reason. My heart seeks only the destruction and disgrace of that false piece of meat. You will help me, starting now. Now? I told you I wasn't going to do any of that. I refuse to harm anyone, human or not. What happened between you and her is none of my business. I don't care about that. You'll help me whether you like it or not. Her look seemed increasingly angry, so I decided to try to calm the atmosphere. You say you've been locked up there for a long time, right? That's how it is. How about we do something else first? I'm sure there are a lot of things you want to do now that you're free, right? Something like that? Well, there's not much to do in this place. What can I propose to her that she will stay satisfied? Okay, so walk through the woods, let her decide. Wait, separate us? What would separate us do? I'm kind of curious about what this might achieve. Let's try separate us. Maybe it would be better if each one went their own way. I'm sure... No. Well, I made an attempt. We can't let her decide, because if we let her decide, she's going to pick blood and revenge, which I'm all for, but it's not exactly productive in distracting her. We could just ask her to forget, but I think what this is going to do is make her angry. She's not just going to forget because we ask her. You know what? We're doing it anyway. If you could put aside that stupid revenge, maybe... Stop kidding. Come on. Okay. Okay, well... Again, let her decide. This is gonna get... She wants to do revenge, right? What do you think if you decide better? You are free to do what you want. Just tell me. You're not wrong. Since you don't seem to have much will to decide, I'll take your word for it. But... She came closer to me again. Too close. Don't think you've gotten rid of me. Wait here for me. See you later, poor Kazuya. Wait, that actually worked. That was the correct option? Huh. I didn't expect that to work. Before I could reply to her, she melted in a blink. She is gone. Lilith? Hello? I waited a few seconds, but there was no response. Has she really just left like that? Inside me, I was almost euphoric, as if a weight was lifted off my shoulders, until I thought if that thing had such a thirst for blood and was now out there on the loose, it was dangerous. Very dangerous. Even more so if Rin's sister was in danger. Even if she told me to wait. But, I need to calm down. First, I must have something for breakfast, or I will die from lack of energy. I started to cook something quickly, but without stopping to think where it could have gone. I finished quickly and got up from the seat. I'm not calm. How could I be, knowing something like that is out there on the loose? Even though she told me to wait, how does she want me to wait? I don't know what a being like this thinks. Before it's later. Okay, what should I do? I could keep waiting for Lilith. Tell Rin what happened. I think if we tell Rin what happened, it's probably gonna get us killed, right? We should attempt it anyway. Let's tell Rin. I can't sit idly by with that monster outside. I'm going to tell Rin right now. I ran out of the cabin in the direction of her house. Despite not being too far away, I was exhausted. Rin! Are you there? Almost immediately, I heard her footsteps behind the door. Kazuya, is that you? What's wrong? She came out with some nervousness at the entrance. Are you okay? Rin, It's important. She took my hands, trying to calm me down. Calm down, Kazuya. Come on, let's go inside. I followed her silently as I rephrased my words inside my head. She offered me a seat. Take a deep breath. I'm going to make you some tea and tell me what's going on, okay? No, there's no time for that. It's about your sister. My sister? Yes, she's in danger and it's my fault. What are you talking about? What's going on? Yesterday, I was walking through the forest and something swallowed me. When I woke up, a woman wrapped in tentacles threatened me. She told me that she needed help to get out of that place, that your sister Shizu locked her up there, and now she just wanted to kill her. What you say is true? She didn't seem panicked, but she didn't seem unconcerned about it either. Totally, and it's my fault. No, Kazuya. You have done well to warn me. My sister and I were afraid that such a day would come. You see, that being called Lilieth is dangerous. Very dangerous. No one knows where or how she appeared. She just did it one day. This place used to be very crowded, but when she appeared, she seduced many men and women. She forced them to do horrible things, all for sheer pleasure, because she seems to be made of sheer desperation. She only seeks to drag the rest along with her. That's why Shizu sealed her in darkness. Although we knew she wouldn't be forever, and something like that would happen. So, Kazuya, she took my hands to calm my anxiety. I'll go talk to my sister about this, but you have to be careful. You're in danger now too. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you had to get involved in something like this. I'm so sorry. No, Rin. This is all my fault. Don't blame yourself and trust us. I don't really think we're responsible at all. We had no players in this game. I mean, it was just between Shizu and Lilieth. I'm quite literally a pawn. I hold no responsibility. Everything will be fine. Now, I have to talk to Shizu. I'm sure we can find a way to banish her. Until then, could you wait? I'll let you know if anything happens, okay? Why do I get a bad feeling that regardless of who I choose to trust, I'm gonna end up dying? I've got a bad feeling I'm gonna be needed to be sacrificed in a ritual to banish Lilith. Because she has my blood now. We're connected. Okay. I got up from my seat and turned around in silence. I was deeply troubled and felt guilty about everything. Despite her words, I knew this had been all my fault. I left her house and came back, measuring my steps, before my hand was placed on the doorknob. Lilith was there. You've gone to tell them everything, right? Lilith. I quickly turned to flee with all my might, but... Wait! I stopped. Kazuya, you... She took hold of my face and stared at me. You haven't done anything wrong. Rather, I'm proud of you. I knew you're tired of this, of everything, but it will soon be over. You just have to look me in the eyes. Look at me and follow me. Follow me, and I will give you what you are looking for. Did I just die? No, apparently I didn't. Oh, wait. Perhaps I did because we are back with Vin. Yes, sister. That's all he told me. Is that monster is free now. You're in danger. Rin, you're also in the same danger as me. Don't talk stupid. How could that man do something so stupid? That doesn't matter now. We must... Someone knocked on the door. That must be Kazuya. Maybe something has happened to him. I have to go see. No, don't go. She grabbed her clothes to stop her. No need to worry. I trust him. You should do the same. I told you not to go. It's dangerous. I'll be back in 1 minute. She let go of her grip and went to the entrance. This innocent girl. She never listens to me. Doesn't she know how dangerous she is? While she's taking care of that man, I have to go look for my... Ah! Rin's scream went through the whole house and she shook her heart. That voice! No, no, no! Rin, tell me! Before she could do anything, footsteps were heard down the hall. She stared at the door as it slowly opened. The silhouette of a man with blood on his hands were enough for Shizu to turn for cover. But now, it's my turn to make you suffer. You are... Before any of the words could be heard, Shizu's head rolled on the ground, along with the sound of drops of blood staining Kazuya's clothes. Wait, so I just got fully possessed by Lilith? The man came out of Lilith's hand. She looked deeply happy. He, on the other hand, deeply tormented. Tears streamed down his face with his inert gaze. Together, they headed back to the big tree where she was sealed. The look of that woman, in addition to her singing, was enough for Kazuya to lose his will completely. His body was no longer his. His soul was doomed, perhaps forever. Now, all of him belonged to Lilith. All he could do was watch helplessly as she would wield him to fulfill all of his darkest desires, not being able to complain, not being able to fight it. So, you could say that this time, the Abyss won. Wait, so I got the Abyss possessed me ending, right? Wait, day 6013! Kazuya, are you crying again? Poor boy. But you're very happy with me here, right? Come on, say how happy you are. I'm happy. Would you like to go to the other side? Yeah. No, I want to stay here. Good boy. Very good boy. How about offering me some more of your sweet blood? Today, I am terribly thirsty. I wiped away my tears, walked over to her and closed my eyes. After what happened that day, I was trapped, with no escape. Time was ticking, like a nightmare from which I could never wake up. That was the tragic fate that waited for me. Maybe forever, or maybe not, because in the bottomless pit, there's always something worse. I got the Void End, in which I become a blood bag for Lilith. That is my existence now, apparently. Let's go for the other endings. Okay, so I'm thinking this time, how about we again let her decide, but then we'll choose to wait for her instead of going to warn them. And see if that's gonna give us a different ending, right? Okay, yeah, so we'll keep waiting for Lilith. I can't remember if there was actually any choices past this one, so I think this is the only differentiating from this route. I'll try to give her a vote of confidence and wait for her. She hasn't been able to go very far either. It shouldn't take her long to get back. I said to myself as a method to calm my anxiety from bewilderment. I spent a good while walking from one end of the room to the other, going around in circles while muttering concern about the situation I was in. A part of me wondered if it would be best to seek help, but then I thought it would be even more dangerous to do so. She doesn't show up, and I'm tired of waiting. I'm going to look for her. I got ready again to go outside, while a certain feeling of anger began to arise within me. I looked around. I searched for her voice, her silhouette, whatever it was that indicated her presence, but there was nothing. I kept walking and, just as it happened at the beginning, maybe fate or maybe my subconscious played the same game again. I came back to that big tree and its corresponding well from which Lilieth came out. Who would have thought that in such a random place, in this piece of living nature, something like this could be latent in it? What has she done in the past to earn that fate? What is she really? Because she certainly doesn't look much like the other demi-humans I've seen so far. She's more like a sound. Where does it come from? I turned around, taking in my surroundings. There was something nearby. Yes, there was. And it was watching me. I knew it. I know. I walked backwards until I could see that my rear guard was garrisoned by the great tree. Nervousness and adrenaline began to flow as if it were the prelude to a conflict, the encounter with something unknown and perhaps dangerous. Silence, like the calm before the storm, was present. I clenched my fists tight, preparing for the worst. I hadn't been aware of any wild animals in that area. All there could be was... There is. I directed my gaze towards the point of origin and... What are you? Are you, a child of Lilith? Both my blood and my breath were petrified and extremely disturbed. It wasn't Lilith. It wasn't an animal. No, I didn't know what it was. It didn't seem to be dangerous. That didn't bother me at all. You know what it reminds me of? Treasure Planet? Right? The little Morphe guy. The little blob being. That's what you remind me of, only a more horrific, disturbing version of you. I'm gonna call you Morph. It didn't seem to be dangerous, and didn't bother me at all. That, despite the innocuous appearance, managed to make me uncomfortable enough for fear to take over my nervous system. I must have thought of something. Quick, react! I told myself to no avail. It was trying to get closer to me, and with every inch that it advanced, the whole atmosphere in which I found myself became more and more disturbing and elusive, as if that mere presence broke the fragility of my reality, even without that being its intention. Almost as if my own mind collapsed, everything around me blurred, the sound of the environment distorted, and my will turned off. As if, once again, it was calling me. The subtle desire of the abyss called me. It seduced me, and I obeyed. I just wanted to let go and rest. Wait, am I going into the void without Lilith? Do we think I can commit a coup? Do we think I can take over the abyss and rule over? We must. This site is... Hal! Oh, you're here. Lilith! I wanted to commit a coup. The abyss. The void. My kingdom. Has as many names as I do at this point in existence. Don't you think so? Few enter here and are able to leave. Many fewer returns. But you seem to be different. Lilieth was sitting on some kind of bronze throne. Seeing her in this position, of course, you could believe that she really is the queen of this place. Kazuya, I was thinking maybe you and I got off on the wrong foot. So let me clear something up, okay? She got up from her throne and took a few steps towards where I was. I've been watching you for quite some time. You are no stranger to me. Many demi-humans can feel people's emotions, and that data gives us a lot of information about you. If a person is lying, she started walking in circles around me. If you are afraid, if you are happy or not, this kind of information that we are capable of perceiving also helps us to understand you better, and also to know how to control you more effectively. She laughed sarcastically as her hand caressed my shoulder. I don't know if you haven't figured it out yet, Kazuya, but if I really wanted to hurt you, I could have done it from the start. I could have simply seduced you and overridden your will completely. And why haven't you? Because it will be more fun to see what you are capable of. I am selfish and full of insatiable desire. So now I ask you, how far are you willing to go to satisfy my appetite? I watched her silently as I followed her with my eyes. So, I have no way out of her stupid game. Whether I refuse to obey her is irrelevant, right? She will always get what she was looking for in the end. I know that I may not be the strongest or the bravest man, but I refuse to bow down like this. I don't have any appetite to satiate, Lilith. I took her hand away from my face. Wow! And that reaction. You heard me. I'm not a toy or a slave. I'm not going to do everything you want. What? She laughed again, this time more exaggerately. Oh, sweet and innocent ephemeral. Have you not understood me? Your destiny is already decided. She took a few steps away, approaching the edge of a cliff, and dropped her knees to the cold rock floor. She looked at me, and then extended her arms as an invitation for me to come with her. I responded and took her hand. We both sat with our legs dangling over the edge of the cliff. She grabbed my hand and never let me go, almost as if she was careful that I didn't fall. Lilith, why does it seem so important to you to kill Shizu? Is it just simply spite towards her? You tell me, Kazuya. She looked at me and changed her usual tone for a more serious one. What would you do? How would you feel if someone or some people rejected you by your own nature? Wouldn't you think it's unfair that for this reason you were locked up forever in a horrible place? Wouldn't you feel resentment towards the person who judged you and condemned you with her own hands? Tell me, Kazuya, don't you think I have a legitimate right to feel this way? Maybe. You have a point. Just maybe? Just maybe. Look at the horizon, Kazuya. Fix your gaze straight ahead. What do you see? I see mountains, crags, and red rivers. What if you look up? I see a crimson sky of black clouds. Now look down. What are your feet walking on now? Under my feet there is nothing, just a big void, right? You're dangling into the abyss. You could fall at any moment. You could lose your balance and lose everything in seconds. How would that make you feel? I guess deeply distressed. I've been in that state for longer than I can remember, because I, long ago, fell into that pit of darkness and despair. And I don't mean the one under our feet. She pointed her finger at my chest. I'm talking about the one that is right in the heart. Even Icarus would die next to his wings for trying to escape from said destiny. Lilieth always seemed to be an outgoing woman who doesn't care about anything. A cluster of selfish emotions and no empathy. But now, it seemed that her words were loaded with a past full of pain. I was aware that she was not an angel full of goodness, but I was beginning to think that she was not a monster without feelings either. Despite everything, she suffered for things beyond her own control. That piqued my curiosity. My curiosity to know more about her. Kazuya. Yes? A part of me calls for Shizu's blood, like an elixir to soothe my hatred. But I myself know that the pain and scars of the heart don't heal that easily. If I have brought you here, it is because I want to give you the opportunity to decide the weight of the scale. Will my thirst end when her blood runs down my lips? Or is it already too late to save a monster? Can I redeem myself or not? I could have you under my yoke and have you do everything for me, but I won't. I want to wait like a fool for someone to save me. That's why. She put her hand on my back. Now, it's up to you to decide. Will you help me or not? Which path would you take in my place? Look me in the eyes and tell me what they're shouting. I'll leave you alone for now, but I'll be back for you. And you'll have to do something about it. Because you, like me, as much as you want to run away, you're one step away from falling. As I did. See you, little Kazuya. Wait! She pushed me forward with a blow and I started to fall backwards towards the sharp ground. Let me guess, I'm gonna wake up on the surface, right? I closed my eyes in panic and I felt my body falling uncontrollably. But nothing happened. I woke up lying on one of the sofas in my cabin. Day 6. If it wasn't the first time, I'd think I had another nightmare. I got up and sat up from the comfort of the sofa. Okay, and now? Am I really involved in something like this against my will? Should I decide what will happen to a poor girl or, on the other hand, the fate of a monster? At what point did everything turn into such a chaotic and sticky situation? I'm beginning to think that coming here was a terrible mistake on my part. The worst part is, Lilieth is partially right. My mental condition is on the brink of collapse, and I'm sick of it. I don't want to have blood on my hands. But I rest my head on the backrest. What am I supposed to do then? Do I help her, or do I try to stop this whole thing? Whatever I do, I don't know what can happen or what is better. I feel so deeply exhausted that I can hardly think clearly. I sighed. I went to the main room without stopping thinking. If I help her, a supposedly innocent girl may die. And if I don't help her, maybe the result will be the same, but I'll also end up badly. On the other hand, maybe I can try to reason with her that revenge doesn't always end well. What should I do? You know what? I'm kind of wanting to help Lilith. She seems to have got a raw end of the stick. Because, I mean, what was she supposedly doing? Seducing a lot of men and women? What was she seducing them to their death? Was she basically being a vampire? Was she using them all as blood bags? You know what? It's in her nature. Let's just help Lilith. I want to help Lilith come to her senses. Oh, we're not helping Lilith to kill her. I knew that. I knew that all along. That was my intention. I was 100% not intending to help her kill Shizu. Nope. I couldn't understand her need for blood, but I can't let someone end up dead if I can help. I decided to wait until night again so I could summon her and talk once more. As darkness closed in on the room, I went for the knife from the kitchen. This time, I didn't think too much about it, and I pierced my finger until a few drops of blood spurted from it. Lilith, I want to talk with you. I threw the said drops towards the darkest place that I could see in the gloom. I closed my eyes and called her back. Lilith, I want to talk with you now. I could begin to distinguish her silhouette from the rest of the environment. Kazuya, were you calling me? Have you finally made the decision to help me? Yes, I have, but not in the way you've asked. What do you mean, Kazuya? I am saying that I will help you, but I will not sacrifice anyone's life for your desire of revenge. And do you think I'm going to accept something like that so easily? What are you offering me in return, huh? I offer my hand to help you, as long as it's nothing that would harm another person or demi-human. I told you that my nature makes me have an insatiable thirst. Are you short of memory? Do you listen to me when I speak to you? She approached me with an angry tone. Tell me, are you really willing to keep a promise like that? I know your time here is finite. What will you do once you leave this place? Don't you think I could wait and seduce another unwary into doing my bidding? I don't know, but I'll think about that when the time comes. I want to help you, but I also want to help others. That's why I called you. I want to save you. Let's check it out then. She wrapped her slender arms around my neck. Her soft skin caressed the tip of my lips. Hey, Kazuya. Look at me. Prove yourself to me. When I looked into her eyes, I began to feel a slight wariness. How do I know you will keep your promise? Because I'll do it. And this tiredness slowly turned into, you look tired. Are you sleepy? She hugged me tight. Would you like to sleep while I take care of you? What are you, trying? Didn't I tell? I see. So this is the famous hypnosis. You can sleep with me, Kazuya. Just close your eyes and I'll take care of everything. Don't be afraid. Just do it. No. If I do that, I'll fall under her influence. But it's so tempting. You know what? I do enjoy me a good nap. We're gonna fall asleep. Maybe just a little. You're right, and shh, my little one. You just have to listen to me carefully, won't you? I know you're a very obedient boy. Oh, that's me out. She knocked me to the ground and perched on top of me. If you do as I tell you, I will reward you very handsomely. What do you wish? Oh dear. You already know what I want, And you're going to help me make it happen, right? Yes, I will. Very good boy. She kissed me while I tried to move my body, but it did not respond to what I ordered. That's how I like it, my sweet ephemeral. She caressed my cheek. Now listen to me. First, you'll warn Rin by telling her about me, and then... Day 7. Kazuya, are you at home? Come in. Rin grabbed the wobbly doorknob and stepped inside. Kazuya, what happened last night? Did you manage to talk to Lilieth? Yes, I did it. And what happened? Did she come to her senses? She did, and even wants to talk to Shizu and apologize to her. Do you think? It seems too sudden. Trust me. Sorry, you just stood there and I didn't even invite you to a cup of tea. You don't need to worry about that, Kazuya. I just came by to check that you were okay and... I insist. Give me a minute. Well, okay. In that case. Rin sat down to wait. What did Lilieth say to you? How do you know that we can trust her now? She told me. And I know that she's a being that can be blindly trusted. Kazuya walked over to the table and poured her a cup. Thanks. Though you didn't have to bother. Are we gonna drug her? I bet we are. I insist. Rin brought the cup to her thin lips and took a small sip of the contents. What tea is this? It tastes a bit... She puts the cup down on the table. I would call it taste of tragedy. You are... Rin's jaw dropped, as if she had lost any kind of energy in her body. What have you... Her body fell onto the table, spilling the liquid of the cup onto the floor. What have I done? I haven't done anything. Yet. The door flung open, and something rolled to Shizu's feet. What's going on? Who opened the door like that and threw me? I'm better now. This is Rin's head. She reached down and took with both hands what was at her feet. I knew it! Rin! Shizu's trembling voice, along with a totally pale face, became visible to her. When she could see that what she took in her hands was her sister's severed head. She made the pretense of screaming, but both her vision and her voice froze when, moreover, she could see that she was not alone in the room. Lilieth finally got what she wanted, no matter the consequences or what she had to do to get it. I guess we really knew it was all going to end in stained with blood. I got another void end. Okay, so good news is, at least this ending, we didn't technically make Kazuya a killer. So at least his hands stay blood-free. Okay, so now we're gonna go and resist sleeping. We're gonna stay awake this time. Oh, it wasn't over. Day 3013. Kazuya, come here. She bit Kazuya's arm and let his blood come out. After this, she ran her slender finger over it and it tasted it. I still remember the first drop you offered me. You don't? Your blood is still just as sweet, but my appetite is insatiable. You made your attempt to avoid this, But many times we cannot avoid fate. Because this abyss is inside all of us. Okay, so we're going back to the sleep decision. So we're gonna need to let her decide. And then we keep waiting for the Lilith. Oh yeah, I forgot about this decision. We'll come back and do this afterwards. But first, yeah, we gotta help Lilith. Okay, and now, here is where we change our fate. Keep me awake. No, I don't need to rest. Stop trying to control me. She took my face in both hands. Are you sure, dear? You know that I could give you everything. From the most peaceful rest to the most addictive pleasure. And the only thing I ask of you in return is that you follow what my voice tells you. Again, okay. Is obeying her sweet voice probably can get me to the same ending? And no, we don't listen to what she says. I know it's all a lie, but still, no. Stop. You're not going to convince me, Lilith. For once. This time I won't give in. I've made up my mind. I have made the decision to save you. Save me? Why do you think that? It was you who told me to look into your eyes and respond to what they scream. That is why I choose to save you. But why would you do such a thing? Have you gone completely insane? You already know what my true nature is, and yet you... That doesn't matter now. I want to save both you and Shizu. I know you can put instinct aside, because now I'll be the one to help you. Will you help me? And how do you plan to do that, huh? I took her hand, because I will be with you. She looked at me with a certain expression of disbelief and distrust in my word. I doubt you can keep a promise like that. What will happen when you have to leave this place tomorrow? Haven't you thought about that? I'm aware of that, but that doesn't matter. I know I'll be able to make the right decision when the time comes. But until then, I must first convince you not to hurt anyone else. And what will you gain from all this? Perhaps I am also a selfish being like you, and having you here with me is my wish. She laughed for the first time before my eyes, sincerely. Oh, Kazuya, maybe, and just maybe, I'll have even more interest in you now. You win. I'll give you a chance to prove that you say, and if it's true. She reached out and wrapped her tentacles around me. If you keep your promise, you and I may become quite close. Hearing her suggestive tone so close to my ear triggered my heartbeat. But don't try to hypnotize me again. Oh? Not even a little bit? 0. Okay. Hey, little one. It's getting late, so I have an idea. She released me and took a few steps back. Come here. She extended her arm and invited me to come closer to her. What do you have in mind? This. What are you doing? Fear not, my little ephemeral. I'm not going to do anything that you don't want to. I just thought that this way would be more comfortable together. Lilith pushed me to the ground and wrapped her tentacles around me. She perched on top of me, staring and without taking her eyes off me. You won't try to seduce me again, right? Oh, honey, of course not. I just want to be like this with you while we talk a little more. Having Lilith so close for so long I was beginning to feel odd, as if everything around me was becoming more and more subtle. Or rather, I felt that everything that surrounded Lilieth was special, unique, oniric. What's wrong, Kazuya? You seem focused on something. Sorry, I was just watching you. Were you watching me? And what do your eyes see? Inevitably, I swallowed nervously. Oh, are you embarrassed to answer that question? Of course not. Why should I be ashamed? Well, I already know how incredibly beautiful and seductive I am. It's normal that your first reaction is to gasp. Tell me, Kazuya, do you like me? Well, I feel like this is a dangerous situation. If I say no, I'm probably gonna get murdered. Sure, yes, I like you. Yes, I like you. Oh, what a manly response. I didn't expect you to admit it so soon. She answered me between laughter and caresses my cheek. Hey, my little Kazuya. She pressed my face against her chest in a comforting hug. Is there anything you'd like to know about me? Now that we have this quiet time alone, wouldn't you like to ask me anything? Well, now that you mention it. Okay, so we can either ask more about herself. Let's talk about something. What did you used to do in the Abyss? Okay, I feel like asking about the Abyss is just going to upset her because it's clearly she doesn't like that place. Tell me more about you. I want to know more about you, your past, who you were, whatever. Really? Where do I start? Because, do you really want to know? Sure, I want to know you in depth. Well, to cut a long story short, in the beginning, I was human too. Although I wasn't a complete human. When I was born, my mother was killed by selfish people who wanted to abuse her. I was too young to be of any use, so they left me lying under a tree trunk. Perhaps I had such a phobia of insects at that time in my existence. When I died, all the negative emotions of that place, along with my mother's blood, and all that accumulation of things, they made me reborn. Although, of course, with the way you see me now. Wow, I didn't know even you had such a past. Oh dear, I don't need your words of comfort. Do you know how long ago all of that happened? I am an immortal being. As immortal and insatiable, don't forget it. And so is my thirst for revenge. I obviously ended those people's lives after having some fun, just like I wanted to end Shizu's too, until I promised to think again. Okay, we'll just work our way down the list, right? Because we're probably gonna... Oh, we could just say that's it now, but nope. We want to know it all. Let's talk about something. Tell me something that I don't know about you. Let me think. Did you know that I used to be terrified of any kind of insect? They really terrified me. But when I was locked up in that place and took this form, I got used to them. Wait, is it saying I can learn something else? Tell me something more about you. I think you already know that, but the idea of possessing someone excites me. Sabotaging a weak mind and making it mine to have absolute control. Isn't that a rewarding idea, Kazuya? Having a person who obeys everything you command. But to override someone's will like that is... Oh, I understand that you feel bad about it. I didn't expect otherwise. How much can I learn by just clicking this one answer? Okay, we'll just talk about the Abyss. What did you use to do in the Abyss? What did you used to do when you were locked in the void? Hell, or whatever you want to call it. What do you think I could do? I walked through its barren deserts. I bathed in its rivers and lakes of red water. I rested on the cliffs while I felt the breeze. I think I mentioned it to you, but there were some other creatures besides me as well. They're not really dialogue-loving creatures, though, you know. Most ignored each other. Another may attack on instinct. In that place, time doesn't run, and if it does, it's either very slowly or very quickly. Due to my own nature and perhaps a curse, I have always had the need to quench my thirst. My thirst for knowledge, power, enjoyment. But being there, I couldn't do anything at all. In fact, and to be honest with you, besides getting revenge on whoever punished me in such a cruel way, something I always wanted was to have a companion. A companion? Yes. Doesn't that make sense to you? I think humans have a very good phrase for what I want to say. Everything tastes better when you share it with someone. I am curious to check the veracity of those words. She looked at me with a certain mischief. Are you talking about me? Who else would I refer to? I am very interested in you. I've already told you. I lowered my gaze, trying to hide my nervousness. I want to know how many times I can click this one. What things do you like? I have always been fascinated by music. A good melody that seduces my ears is something that I love. If you could spend more time away, would you like to accompany me somewhere on a trip? See what else lies beyond this forest and the gloom of the abyss? Of course I want to go. Wait, are you coming too? Sure, that's why I told you that. Then I'll think about it. Wow. Rude. She stuck out her tongue mockingly. Don't be silly. Obviously I want to go and live something like that with you. Is there something you hate? I can't stand salt. Beings of my kind cannot touch salt, since it is an earthly element that takes us away from this plane. If I touched or consumed large amounts of salt, I would surely lose my shape. And you couldn't come back? I've never checked, so I can't tell you. Interesting. While I was in the abyss, during all this time, I have seen different creatures form out of hatred, jealousy and lust, and so on. Sometimes you'd be surprised at the shape of a monster can take. I also learned that you guys aren't that different from those you point fingers at. And is there one that caught your attention or surprised you the most? Now that you mention it, yes. Long ago, a woman's resentment took shape. One day she surfaced, and I never heard from her again. But one day, that resentment grew stronger in her. From what I could see, that woman had offspring, specifically a daughter. Knowing that she might hurt her, I decided to shut her out and come back here. From time to time, I have seen her roam the crimson deserts, while she scratched the sand with her long and sharp fingers. Okay, I feel like this could go on for a while, so we're gonna say that's it. I think that's all for now. Then it's my turn to meet you. I'm beginning to notice your tiredness though, little one. So I'll just ask you something. What do you want to ask me? What will you do tomorrow? Because if you've forgotten, tomorrow is your last day in the cabins. I know, and you're right. For you, the problem would be that I leave, right? Exactly. If you promise to stay by my side, then the least I expect you to do. Then... Oh wait, could you come with me to the city? I feel like that might be the best thing because that gets it away from Shizu so she can't go back on her word. Come with me to the city. How about you come home with me? To the city? I've never been out of this forest. And you plan to take me to the city. Why not? I was just making sure you understood the magnitude of your words. In any case, I hope you think it over tonight. I think it's time to let you get some sleep. You're right. What will you do? I'll go back to my warm home to rest for a while too. But first, I'll go and talk with Rin. I'll see you tomorrow. You can't escape from me. I didn't want to run away either. She flashed a slight smile of happiness upon hearing me say that. So rest and think about the decision you have to make. She lowered her face. Her hair caressed my cheeks. Her tentacles tightened around me for a few seconds, and her lips kissed my forehead. Good night, my favorite ephemeral. She got up and disappeared into the darkness. I also got up and went straight to bed. I lay on it, thinking about everything she had said to me. Lilith, my holiday really did go off the track, huh? I closed my eyes and almost without realizing it, I fell asleep. I opened my eyes as the sunlight became unbearable for my sleep. I yawned loudly and stretched out of the covers before standing up. I looked around, but Lilith wasn't with me. I went to the kitchen to prepare something. Everything was completely silent, and that, oddly enough, made me feel a strange sense of loneliness. Did I miss her company? Was my first thoughts in the morning going to be dedicated to her? I sighed. I looked back. I thought about the things that happened and all the trials in which I have been unintentionally involved, when precisely I came to this place to rest. I ate something light and sat on the sofa. Today is my last day. Before tonight, I must leave to return to my normal life. And Lilith is right. I must take responsibility for my promises and words. So, I have to think about what to do with her. Although she has promised to give up the idea of blood, nothing prevents her from trying again when I'm gone. So, that only leaves me two options. Stay with her, or she stays with me. If I decided to bring her back to the city with me, perhaps she would feel uncomfortable in such an environment, so far from nature. Besides, who knows if her nature, as she says, does not harm others? That brings me to the other option, staying here with her, in a calmer environment, which she knows and less dangerous for the rest. It would be a good option, even if it was only a temporary situation. But I think the best is... The sound of someone knocking on my door interrupted me. Hello, Kazuya. Can I come in? Go ahead, don't worry. Rin's footsteps approached where I was. Good morning, Kazuya. Good morning, Rin. Sit down. She sat down next to me shyly and asked me, if we haven't heard from you, I suppose everything went well, didn't it? Lilith came to talk to me and told me all about it herself. Indeed, I managed to make her see some reason, but today is my last day here, so I have to leave today. Oh, in that case, what are you going to do with Lilith? I would offer to watch over her, but you know that she and my sister... I know. That's why I promised her I'd stay with her. Really? Are you aware of what that decision implies. Probably not completely, but it's the decision I've made and I'm willing to go all the way. I would understand. I am glad about that. You seem to have changed a bit since your encounter. Why would you say that? Your look and the way you act now. You seem much more determined and firm than before. I guess you have a lot to think about and talk about. Knowing that everything is more or less under control then. I'll be leaving. She stood up. Are you leaving already? Yes. I'll go calm Shizu down too. Though it may not seem like it, she was worried about you. Before I go, one last thing, Kazuya. She had a slight smile on her face. Congratulations on everything you've achieved. I am very grateful. I hope we meet again another time. Of course, we will see each other again, you and Shizu. She completed her smile and quickly left. For my part, I asked myself again what my decision would be in this regard, since time was running against me. Come. That voice. Is that you? Come. Follow my voice. I got up and looked for where she was calling me from. Where are you, Lilith? I looked and couldn't find her anymore. Head to where we first met. You mean... I put on my boots and fixed my hair. Then I went to the big tree. When I arrived, Lilith was under the branches, waiting for me. Good morning, little one. Lilith, what's going on? It seems like the first time you see me. It's not that. It's just, I was thinking about what you said yesterday and... Oh, have you made up your mind about it yet? No. So... I think that before that, I should ask you what you want more. What I want? I shouldn't make an important decision without first asking you what you want to do, right? She began to laugh in her characteristic voice. Just when I thought I knew everything about you, you go and surprise me again. Okay. I will tell you what I want, but I promise something to you. I hear you. I know you're debating whether to stay here with me, or on the contrary, that I go with you. Right? You can show me that you have enough will to choose both your destiny and mine. Or, if you don't think you can leave it in my hands. But you must accept and obey what I decide, whatever it is. Whether you like it or not. Come on, tell me. Let's play. I clenched my fist as I considered all the possibilities and outcomes of my next words. I kind of want to see what Lilith would decide to do. Because, eventually we're going to pick all three options. But I'm curious about what I'm automatically agreeing to. Better tell me what you want to do. In that case, I decide to go with you to the city. Are you sure? Yes. I want to taste what life is like out there. From your hand. So it's decided. You and I will start over in the big city. I felt a certain relief and joy, despite not knowing what the future would bring us. But I did know that things from now on would be very different. I took her hand and she smiled. You know what I'm curious about? Did Lilith pick the city because I had previously? Because when she asked me what my thinking was and I said, why don't you come to the city? Is that why Lilith now picked it? Curious. After that little talk, we spent the day together. Until the time to leave drew near. I said goodbye to Rin and Shizu. Lilith didn't want to get close to them for obvious reasons. She didn't come back with me in the car either. She said that such a long journey in that form would be too tiring for her, so we decided that I would summon her just like we did the first time. June 12th. Some time had passed since we came to live in the city. Lilith stayed at my house. There was no problem since I lived alone. She slowly got used to the new environment. Although, however, she always refused to leave the house too much, since she said that the rest of the people and demi-humans stared at her form. That didn't matter to me. Every day that I came home from work, she greeted me with a smile on her face. Sometimes she would try to greet me with a hot meal that she barely managed. But that didn't matter to me either. I knew that I made the right decision and that all the risk was worth it. Every time I, a poor man, admired her smile. Wait, so did we just get the house ending? We're playing Happy Families. Desire and... I wonder if we'd still get a desire end if we chose to live in the forest. Well, of course, I gotta go back and choose that. Okay, so I'm just curious. I wonder if we say we'll stay here with you. How about if I stay here with you? She laughed uncontrollably. Are you aware of what you're saying? You would lose your job and your home to stay here with the woman you just met. You sure are wackier than I thought, but I like it. Fear not anyway. You can meditate on your next move tonight, which, by the way, I think it's time to let you get some sleep. Okay, now we're back to our final decision. Okay, so we're gonna actually choose to we'll stay here with her. So I'm guessing you will come with me is just gonna give us the exact same ending as letting Lilith decide. So I'll stay here with you. I decided to stay here with you. Will you stay here? In the forest? Exact. But then you'll lose your job, friends, and... That doesn't matter. I want to stay here, next to you. In this place, you are calm and relaxed, right? Yes, that's right. So, it seemed that the decision had already been made. I would stay here, in the cabins together with Lilith. I knew that in exchange, I would have to sacrifice my job, status, and contacts. I knew many would call me crazy for doing it, but I was calm. After that, I went back to pack my things and take them to the cabins. I got my savings and documentation. Obviously, I wasn't going to do it all without thinking. I had a plan. When I got back, I'd find a job nearby so I could at least support myself, but not too many luxuries. I didn't need them either, when I thought about it. She was already there to fill that void, as she was always saying. She was a herald of desire. Okay, so I got the other desire end. Where I go and lives a hermit. Our days in this cabin, as well as our meeting, were extremely magical, almost ephemeral. But as she cared for me and guided me, I controlled her instinct and thirst. Maybe it wasn't the best, but it certainly wasn't the worst. That was our destiny, and the result of our choices and emotions. Okay, so I'm thinking, what if we go with Rin and Shizu in this option? So instead of trying to save Lilith, we just try and protect these two as best we can. It's best if Lilith ends this radical idea. And if she's unable to do so, then Perhaps I should think of a way to end it. Nip the evil in the bud. But for this, I need help. I can't do it by myself. In fact, I don't know anything in depth at all. That's why the best idea is for me to go tell Rin and her sister Shizu everything. I'm sure they can help me, especially if Shizu has already gotten rid of her in the past. I clinged my boots and headed quickly to their house. I went as fast as I could, without seeming desperate. I didn't want to waste a second, because I felt like time was running out on me. I knocked on the door. Rin! Are you home? After a few seconds, the door opened. Hello, Kazuya. Did you want something? I need to talk to you about something urgent. Also with your sister. With my sister too. Why? It's about a half-human. Her name is Lilieth. Lilieth? She stammered in half surprised. Okay, come on in. I'll go tell my sister. Take a seat. Thank you. I sat on one of the living room chairs in the small dining room and caught my breath. In the time it took for Rin to bring Shizu here, I was pondering what I was going to tell them about my choice of next words. I wanted to be clear and concise with everything. Here we are, Kazuya. You mentioned Lilieth, right? What do you know about her? They sat in front of me with a certain aura of concern on their faces and voices. Shizu, despite having such a young appearance, from what I could guess after all this, she was surely older than me. Her mouth seemed to be glued together by her own skin and flesh, as if she always had a macabre smile on her face. I will tell you everything that happened, so please help me. As calmly as I could, I told them the facts since I came here, and even before. The dreams I had, the voice, as well as the day I went to that so-called hell. They never doubted my version, and that surprised me a bit. Seeing a demi-human isn't exactly unusual these days, but a story like that would be hard for me to believe. I see. So, it already happened. Rin and I were afraid that something like this would happen again one day. So... Before we continue talking, you told me that she told you what happened, right? Something like that, yes. And what did it make you think when you heard her? To me, well, I don't know. She seemed sad, or at the very least, with some pain when remembering it. Do you think she's sorry? Well, it could be. I don't know. I never know what she thinks or feels. I still think she's evil in form. When she appeared, she consumed many people until she wiped out an entire place. Her desire to please herself never seemed to end. It seemed as if she enjoyed the misfortune of the rest, more than the diversion, as if it were only her food. To prevent further tragedies, that's why I sealed her in that place. Surely, from the place she came from. I did not think or believe that such a being can ever change. It's in her nature. That is why I also ask you, Kazuya, what would you do? Why do you ask me? You are the one that has been with her. You are the one who can give a more accurate judgment and assess the best option. Do you think she can change her mind and attitude? Or do you think that she will never be able to adapt to the human world? What would be the best for her? For us? Because if you've come all this way, I doubt it's to kill me, right? Of course not. I don't want blood on my hands. Rin breathed a sigh of relief hearing me say that. So what's your verdict? I trust your judgment, Kazuya. We'll do what you think is best for everyone. I trust your judgment, Kazuya. Will do what you think is best for everyone. Damn! They're looking at me while they wait for my answer. So I have to think fast. Go! Okay, so I can either end Lilith or she deserves a second chance. Okay, well clearly we're going to take both options, but I want to see if we can actually end Lilith. I think we can trap her again, but I don't think we're actually strong enough to kill her. If it's all true, then there's nothing to do. The best thing is that Lilith needs to die. Disappear or whatever. Are you sure about that, Kazuya? Yes, I am. That's why I came here. I need your help. In that case, don't worry. In all this quiet time, I've had plenty of time to prepare myself when this day comes. Vin. Yes, how can I help? You know how. There's no time either, so please go prepare what you need. Okay. See you later, Kazuya, and thanks for coming to us. Rin ran away almost as if she were a robot which received an absolute order. She probably already told you, but let me tell it to you again. I watched her intently as she lost her gaze on the table. Vin, she's not my sister. At least not by blood. The only sister I have is far from here, and her name is Mai. Well, that doesn't matter now. The fact is that Rin died a long time ago, precisely at the hands of Lilith's ravagers. She was a friend of mine, but when all that happened, she begged me to do something to prevent such pain from reoccurring or spreading. I used what I knew to keep her alive. But something like that was nearly impossible in her state. I tried to patch her body up with parts from other creatures and people. I know that Lilith has great influence. That's why I decided to deprive Rin of her vision, to reduce the amount of stimuli and thus the possibility of falling into her hypnosis. Technically, you could say that I sacrificed one of the people I cared about the most and turned her into a demi-human whose only goal was to prevent further destruction. I was silent throughout her story. Maybe she and I are deep down the same monster. No, I think it's not comparable at all. No, it's not. You did something like that to save the rest. Lilith did it for the hell of it. Do you believe? I just see that at the end of the day, the results of the actions are the same. She, by her nature, brought chaos, and I used that same chaos to justify my actions on others. But that may be about to end now, thanks to you. Kazuya, you can summon Lilith, right? Yes, I can do it. Rin must be ready now. So here's what we'll do. We return to the big tree. Lilith, I have come here to call you and fulfill your request. I sat on my knees on the ground and took out one knife from my pocket. That is why I offer you one more drop of my blood to ask you for your presence. I poked the tip of the blade carefully into myself and poured a single drop into the great tunnel where she first sealed. My drop with vitality fell into the deepest heart of darkness, and it was not long before evil itself appeared. The sound of a tentacle moving in the distance with a small laugh of disbelief resonated with increasing force. I got up and took a few steps back. Lilith, are you here? Slowly in front of me, a silhouette began to form. Lilith, you called me. You finally called me. And it seems that with good news for my ears. Yes, I thought about what you said and I want to help you. I understand how you feel and I want to put an end to this, to your pain. Oh, Kazuya, really? She came over to me and put her arms around me. Hearing you say that makes me so happy. It's a shame you're lying. Lying? I do not. Are you stupid? Useless ephemeral. I told you we could read human emotions. And you stink of lies. The tone radically changed in Lilith, and I could almost feel how everything was beginning to become extremely tense. Tell me what you're up to. Tell me the truth. At that moment, Shizu's voice came to my rescue. Lilith, it's been a long time. You. We're finally face to face, damn girl. Yes, we are. But this time I'm not alone. And how do you think a useless human like this can help you? I didn't mean him. Vin! As she shouted out her name, a sharp blade sliced cleanly through Lip's torso. It was a cut so quick and clean that it was hard to tell what happened. When she realized the wound, she let out a great groan of pain and fury. How dare you hurt my body, you rotten girl! Her tentacle began to move rapidly and violently through her body. As she said, being close to her, I could almost feel as if reality was slowly warping. You better don't try. Give it up and go back to the hole you came from. Who are you? She couldn't finish speaking when she spat out a pool of blood from her mouth. Her blood was much darker than mine, something that quite detonated her semi-human nature. What have you? She vomited blood again, and her tentacles began to slow down. It's simple. The blade that pierced you was smeared with a special mixture made by me. Let me guess, something to do with salt, huh? Specifically, salt. I read that salt can destabilize the form of those like you. How dare you? She could barely gesticulate, a word without blood spurting out of her mouth. She collapsed on the ground while looking at me. You have... She began to change in a grotesque way, and too explicit to be able to contemplate her without having any kind of disgust or apprehension. I turned so I wouldn't see her. Kazuya, close your eyes, quick! Why? What happened? If you have... Now! I closed my eyes as ordered. I'll cover your ears for a moment. Don't be afraid. It will be all over soon. It's okay. I didn't know what was going on behind my back, but surely nothing pleasant. Within seconds, I could hear a faint moan so distorted it was hard to believe it came from a human form. So, like the sound of a mass of gelatinous meat, or rather, full of tentacles, moving from side to side awkwardly. I couldn't understand what Shizu was saying, but she seemed to say goodbye to Lilith. And then, there was absolute silence. You can open your eyes now. When I opened my eyes, Lilith was gone. There was only a small puddle of black blood on the ground, and Shizu's stained footprints. What happened? I just finished her off. The blade that pierced her body, thanks to Vin, caused her to destabilize and revert to a more vulnerable form. Being in that state, I wasn't hard to kill her. The hard part was getting to her. She wasn't going to appear so unprotected before me or Rin, but with you. We had to close your eyes so you wouldn't be tempted to look at her. We didn't know what could happen, if seeing her had caused you to go mad or something worse. I get it. So, is this whole nightmare over? That's right. It's all over. Clearly, I still didn't understand the magnitude of everything that happened these days. But when I heard those words, I felt a liberation that I had never felt in my life. You've done great, Kazuya. We couldn't have done it without your help. All of this has been my fault. No, this was something that was bound to happen, sooner or later. It's thanks to you that we can bring this chapter of history to an end. I did not respond by giving her the truth or denying it. After that, we all went back to our cabins to rest. That night, I couldn't sleep a wink, and when I did, I could have only nightmares about her. Although this time, it was over. And so my encounter with that being ended. Also, my poor rest days. Since the last day I had left, I had no chance to enjoy it, as it was obvious. I had many things on my mind, many more than when I came to this place with. Rin came to visit me and see how I was doing. She made me promise not to tell the townspeople of anything in case it would get her and her sister into legal trouble. I promised them that everything would be quiet. Afterwards, I went back to the city and tried to lead my life as usual. I couldn't sleep, and my mind was still stressed, as it was from the beginning, so I didn't know whether to consider it a success or not. Otherwise, everything remained the same. Yes, everything went on completely. The same? Okay, so that counts as a void end. Does that mean it because she ends up trapped in the void? And I technically might not be free of her. Interesting. Okay, so one of the only main choices I can think to change is this original one. Because we never did go for the choice, like, walk through the woods. So maybe we should try that now. How about we go for a walk in the woods? We can think about things better if we talk a bit more. A walk, you say? Okay, let's go. She seemed to think about it for a moment, but agreed. So, go? Lilieth nodded with a simple movement, and we both went outside. I was dazzled by daylight for a moment, only to be given some vitality by the warm weather shortly after. Rin didn't seem to be out, neither did her sister. Just there was no wind, no birds. Everything was completely silent, as if everything was a stage previously prepared just for us. She came with me outside. Where would you like to go? Do you think I know the outside world well enough to tell you? You're right. She definitely seemed annoyed with me. I guess because of my intention to avoid that topic of revenge. Come on, this way. She took me by the hand without warning and began to walk down one of the paths. Hey, wait a bit. What's the bit and we end up by the big tree, huh? Although we followed a different path from the one I used to take, the landscape didn't change too much as expected either. The forest is still a forest no matter where you look at it. Come on, don't be left behind. There is no rush, so it is you who should not be in such a hurry. You're a spoiled sport, you know that. I grumbled silently at her comment. But she stopped and came over to me. That's how I like you. She grabbed my face, something that was starting to feel like a habit coming from her. But this time, it sent my heartbeat skyrocketing. Now that we were in the tranquility of nature and its silence, I could better appreciate her. Despite her almost demonic appearance, she was quite an attractive and sensual woman. Although she had tentacles surrounding her body, her extravagant way of being made her a certain hypnotic aura. Hey, Kazuya! She moved closer to me, being able to feel the warmth of her body in tune with her mind. The softness of the skin, and her fingers caressed my cheek, running over my face slowly. You think you're in danger by my side, right? Why you ask? I can see it in your nervousness. I'm not stupid, in case you haven't noticed, dear. She parted slightly. But you're not wrong. Every time you're near me, your poor mind struggles to stay sane, to distinguish reality from nightmare. What do you mean? I'll go crazy to be with you? I don't know. Tell me with your own eyes. She grabbed me hard by the cheeks and turned my face towards a tree. It's Morph! How you doing, Morph? Tell me, what do you see? There, next to the tree, was a kind of amorphous mass of meat, smiling. I could see some tentacles moving from side to side, some exorbitant eyes, and even a bit of hair. It was incredibly small, but the simple fact of appreciating something so chaotic, breaking the harmony of the place, disturbed me greatly. What? What is that? Don't you know either? I just told you. Ephemeral. It is nothing more and nothing less than the result of being with me. Your mind gradually becoming corrupted by my influence. Take a good look at it, Kazuya. I am made of the same faceless flesh as it. Now tell me, are you scared? Do I terrify you? I stared at her almost unblinkingly, puzzled. I was really going crazy, wasn't I? Okay. You know what? I'm a brave boy. I'm not scared. Well, no. I'm not scared or afraid of you. Are you serious? Totally serious. I'm not afraid. I said that, but I knew that deep down I was. She looked at me a little surprised. Wow, I wasn't expecting such a brave response. Though, you can't hide your shocked face so easily, little creature. If you're going to be with me, by my side, you'll have to get used to these things. Your reality and mine will merge at some point. The abyss is always hungry and never satiates its appetite, just like me. At some point, I will consume one of the two. Don't forget that. She placed her hands on both sides of my cheeks. Her tentacles began to wrap around my legs and arms. What are you doing now? We're just going to extend the ride a bit more, she said between laughs. Come on, come with me. Close your weak eyes. And let yourself be carried away once again by my voice. And we once more return to the abyss. This site is hell. Wait, so is this going to all be the same again? Okay, so choosing to go for a walk and staying inside leads me to the same place. Okay, so I think we've gone down all the routes of the main game, so now we are on to the Blind Love, which I think is an alternate chapter. Several days ago, I came to this place on holiday to rest and disconnect from everything. I chose this place because it was a very quiet and peaceful place to relax. Although, on the other hand, there was almost nothing to do. Luckily, this apparent boredom or lack of stimulation was saved thanks to a sweet and shy demi-human. Her name was Rin. I met her on my arrival, and she treated me very kindly. I noticed her, as was obvious. Well, she had a special aura and charm that caught my attention. Today, I decided to take a little initiative and invite her to hang out together. So, I took one last sip of my cup of tea. I put it down on the table and got up to head towards her house. Okay, so it's seeming like this is gonna be the Rin love story, right? I walked to her door. For a moment, I doubted my daring, but maybe it was now or never. If I wanted to enjoy being here, life itself, I had to dare to make these kinds of decisions. I raised my fist and hit the aged wood on the door with some force. 1 second, she said from a distance. After a few seconds, she opened. Are you Kazuya? Hi, Rin. Yes, it's me. Oh, Kazuya. Good morning. A sweet, shy smile graced her face as a form of courtesy. What brings you here? Well, you see, I coughed uncomfortably after saying those wrong words. I was wondering if you'd like to come for a walk with me, since it's such a great day. A walk, you say? She muttered weakly while thinking. That's fine. Yes, I like the idea. Give me a second to tell my sister. Sure, no problem. Rin turned and mounted into the hallway of her house. I patiently waited for her arrival to be able to go for a walk. I wasn't completely nervous, but I was, kind of, impatient. Obviously, Rin was a demi-human who had her eyes sewn up with thread. Apparently, more parts of her body were being in the same position, some in better condition than others. I suppose that nuance was not everyone's liking. But in this case, I didn't care at all. Kazuya, I'm ready. Shall we go? Of course, let's go. We both headed for the dusty dirt road and followed the path. The sun, together with a pleasant breeze, accompanied us in the environment. We kept a certain distance in silence. I had to break that and do something. With my heart racing, I had the courage to reach out and take her hand. It didn't seem to bother her, so I quickly thought of something to talk about. Okay, so we can either ask about her or pick a random topic. Well, clearly because we are very interested in Min, we should probably ask her about herself. Tell me, Rin, what do you do on a daily basis? Do you work nearby? Me? I just take care of Shizu, my sister. And how can you eat and pay bills? Not all creatures have the same functioning as humans. Oh, I understand. My attempt didn't seem to go too well. The silence continued in the environment until she broke it. And what about you, Kazuya? Me? Yes. What did you do before coming here? I was just a simple office worker, you know. It's not an entirely interesting job to tell. I was quite busy and exhausted, so I decided to come to this place in my holiday week. When those days are over, you will go back to your home, right? Yes, I'm afraid so. Rin then seemed to put a sad grimace on her face. Are you okay? Yes. It's just... the thought that you're going to leave makes me a little sad. You haven't been with me for a long time, but I'm used to chatting with you. Hey, are you? I thought this was like our first conversation. But you don't have to worry. We'll meet again, I'm sure. And if it's not that way? Then... I ducked my head, trying to give a negative answer to her concern. In fact, I think we have such a connection together that I would like to trust you more. That is why I would like to tell you something. Sure, go ahead. We kept walking while all of nature followed us. Like a ball of unreality, it seemed that at the moment, only she and I existed. I'm not completely blind. As you can see, I am made up of parts of other bodies that lost their lives long ago. Shizu helped me, and to this day she continues to take care of my body. For me, reality is very different from yours. I know that many times I can seem elusive or cold with emotions, but I wasn't like that before. Rather, I'm more tense than usual with you. Why? The reason is simple, Kazuya. You make my world shake. She squeezed my hand tightly. We don't really know each other yet. We still have 1,000 conversations to have and traits to discover. But part of me has a special sensitivity and intuition. And of all the people I've met, no one has sparked such interest and enthusiasm in me as you. Rin! She also lowered her head in shyness. That's why I apologized to you. In case my attitude wasn't the best. It's hard for me to avoid it when I, despite not having vision, I can feel the colors of the world around me, thanks to you. That despite not being able to catch a glimpse of a sunset, you make me dream of a tomorrow, if that means being able to spend a little more time with you. I kept silent as my heart raced. No one had ever said such things to me before, and, not to fool myself, I also felt the same way. Kazuya? Yes? I know I'm being very bold, but I would like you to accompany me to a place tomorrow. Where would you like to go? It'll be a secret, because I'd be embarrassed to say it while you're looking at me. It's okay. Tomorrow we will go wherever you want. Thank you, Kazuya. Thank you for listening to me, and for being with me. Your company, I begin to feel that it is becoming a necessity for me, like honey for a bee. She let go of my hand and walked away. I have to go back to Shizu. Do you mind if we end our walk here? Of course not, not at all. Do you know where that big tree is near the cabins? I know it very well. Wait for me there in the afternoon, okay? Sure. I was jumping for joy inside me. So, she approached and caressed my face, and then gave me an unsuspecting kiss on the cheek. I'll see you tomorrow. See you later, Kazuya. See you tomorrow, Rin. I'll be counting down the hours and minutes until then. We seem overly attached. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've spent any time together, right? Any meaningful time. And yet, we're already acting like we're head over heels in love with this person. This is spiraling way too fast. She smiled shyly and left. I continued on the path a little longer before returning home. I couldn't quite believe that Rin would say something like that to me. Did she really like me? A big smile lit up my face. I waited, almost without being able to sleep that night, until the day came. Day 6. I was very nervous since her statement of feelings, so I went before she had to wait for me. I leaned my back against the big trunk and enjoyed that certain calm before she arrived. Why would she have dated me precisely on this site? Is this her favorite place? Or is she planning to do something else? Kazuya. Rin? Listen to me. Where are you? Cold, thin hands covered my eyes. What's going on? Why are you covering my eyes? I don't want you to look at me yet. There's something you need to know first. Do you remember yesterday when I told you that I was not completely blind? I remember. Well, I talked to Shizu about how I felt, and her words were that I simply should let go of the emotions that were blooming in me. So I made a decision. My eyes. Oh, so you do have eyeballs! Rin let me see her, and I could clearly see a big change. Now, she had large, delicate blue and green eyes that now looked at me with a shy sweetness. I decided I wanted to see the world with my own eyes, being able to see everything that lies ahead, thanks to the vision that you, yourself, have given me without knowing it. Rin, you are... I'm ugly? Absolutely not! You are precious! She smiled slightly and took my hand. But this isn't the only thing that I wanted to show you, Kazuya. Would you come with me somewhere else? No need to ask. Come on. We did not take more than a couple minutes of walking until we reached what seemed to be an abandoned cabin. There aren't many people or demi-humans around, but in this cabin, I'm sure no one would ever bother us. Why have you brought me here? I wanted to ask you something. She stroked her hair in a nervous reaction. I wanted to ask if you, would you stay with me? I don't mean just friendship. I mean, she looked at me with a lot of anguish in her eyes. If you would abandon everything to stay by my side. Give up everything? You mean, for you to leave the city, your things, and start over with me, here? I was very happy for her words, but thinking about something like that so abruptly seemed too soon. Her face changed to a more insecure one as she waited for my answer. Doing something like that overnight would be crazy. I'm not a teenager anymore to do that kind of thing without serious consequences. But what if it was my only chance to be with a woman like Rin? I'm not entirely sure how much we're thinking this through. I mean, I suppose it could end up being the same scenario as with Lilieth, right? So we'd find a job in town so we could still feed ourselves. But by the sounds of it, and her wanting us to be in this cabin, Rin is full on intending us never to leave the cabin again, right? I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think we can do this, Rin. I can't do something like this so soon, Rin. I'm sorry. No. She stopped me. No. 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 You don't need to say anything else. I understand. But I want to pay attention to what Shizu told me. I will do what these new emotions that you have given me dictate. These new eyes with which to admire the world and life. So, she took my hand. I want you to come inside. Inside? I don't think we should go inside. Rin, you are concerning me. Are you talking about the cabin? Yes. Don't make me repeat it again. Alright. Kazuya, what are you doing? You should have run. But wait. Before we do that, I want you to close your eyes again. Okay. Why are we trusting Rin so much? We've had one conversation with her. She asked us to run away from our lives with her. And now we're going to go inside a murder cabin, right? We are not leaving this place. I closed my eyes as requested. Thanks. Come, I'll guide you. We walked inside the abandoned cabin and she pulled a chair close to me. Here, sit down. I sat up and she let go of my hand. Do not open your eyes under any circumstances. Rin, maybe this is just a bit... Suddenly, Some ropes imprisoned me on the old wooden of the chair. Eh? I opened my eyes, almost on alert. What are you doing? I knew it! I knew Crazy Rin was going to murder us! Then a large needle hit the cornea of my eye. She's blinding me! Ah! A desperate scream of pain almost ripped out of my throat. My mind began to collapse because of what was happening. I couldn't finish assimilating the ropes or the fact that Rin had pierced my eye. Kazuya, if you don't stay still, I won't be able to do it properly. What the hell are you doing? I screamed again when I could put the words together in my mind. I'm doing what Shizu told me, following my emotions. And I don't want to lose you. So I thought if I made you like me, maybe you could understand how important you are to me. She took another needle out of her pocket and stuck it into my cheek. The blood began to flow violently and flooded my palate. You're okay, is it? I tried to express with groans of pain. I don't expect you to understand yet, darling. She grabbed my hand, took another needle out of her pocket, and looked at me. Do you know something that would be very romantic? Since we don't have any rings to give each other, how about this? She took the needle and stuck it right between the nail of one of my fingers. Ouch! I don't know why, but it's like peeling off the nails. That gets to me. I can watch people get decapitated, I can watch people get cut in half with a chainsaw. But when you start like pulling out teeth or ripping off nails, that is kind of like what I get grossed out at. I'll cut off one of your fingers, and in return, I'll give you one of mine. That way, you can always have something of me, right? Right? Wait, isn't that what they did in like Danganronpa 2? They took Junko's body parts. She took out a small knife and started to cut off my skin. Stop! I tried to tell her while the pain paralyzed me. The knife began to cut into my skin while blood stained my clothes in her hand. Don't worry, okay? It won't be long. I know it hurts, but losing you would hurt me more. She kept sawing with the blade of the knife until it pierced my flesh and hit the bone. With a quick gesture, and almost without hesitation, she pressed hard to cut it off in one move. All the pain that was attacking my nervous system, the poor vision I had due to the blood loss and shock, it made me slowly pass out. So wait, does she know how to make me into a demi-human, or am I just fully dead? I came to my senses. I felt pain all over my body, and I couldn't open my eyes. Something was holding my eyelids and preventing me from opening them. You've awakened. I tried to speak, but couldn't either. Don't force yourself to speak, darling. You still have wide open wounds. And don't get up either. Stay here with me. She tried to take me by the right arm in an attempt of a loving hug. You're so hurt right now, and you can't even open your eyes. So you have to stay in this bed until you recover. But you don't have to worry. In this room, no one, not even Shizu, will bother us. Now, you should rest more. She grabbed me by the head and tried to comfort me on the chest. Come on, get some sleep. When you wake up, we'll have all the time in the world to talk. Because, Kazuya, maybe I was just an empty body before, but now, the emptiness I have has been replaced by desire. I took a deep breath, almost as if I didn't fully assimilate my situation. The pain totally incapacitated me. I couldn't see and almost feel, just hearing Rin's voice. So, with what little sanity I had left, I tried to obey her. I focused on my breathing. I watched the darkness in my eyes. And from that day on, I looked into the abyss inside me with my own eyes forever. Yeah, I'm starting to think that actually might be the worst possible outcome for us. We might be better off with Lilieth, even if we do become a glorified blood bag for her. Okay, so what happens if we pick a random topic instead? And do you like animals? Not too much. Some people tend to be scared of me, and others take me for a corpse, so they try to take body parts from me. Oh, I swallowed again awkwardly, since my attempt at conversation didn't seem to be the best either. Okay, so that path, all we discovered was that dogs try to apparently eat bones, thinking she is just a walking bone bag. That's brutal. Okay, well, considering the fact if we choose not to stay with her, we have to stay with her anyway, but we have to stay with her in pain. How about we just agree? Let's just agree we'll start over together within the abandoned cabin. Don't brutalize me. I think I shouldn't waste such an opportunity. I will stay with you. Of course I will. You have given me a new meaning to life since I met you this week. I may or may not be crazy, but I decide to bet on you because you make me feel the same, Rin. Kazuya. She hugged me tightly. Are you serious? Will you stay? I will. She cupped my cheeks and gave me a slow kiss. Thank you. Thank you, Kazuya. She had told me in the sweetest tone I had ever heard. I know that from this day on, we are both going to be very, very happy. At that time, Rin and I became a couple. I went back to the city to pick up some of my things and come back. Rin suggested that we can fix up the abandoned cabin she took me to and start a new life there. Which we did, since at least everything went well at first. But who knows what fate would have in store for us, because, for now, we were victims of the ecstasy of desire. Well, you know what? At least I kept both eyeballs in this ending. Oh. And now, we are on to the epilogue.
Don't be so slow, Rin. Today, we will go to the big city, and we will be late.
I know. Oh, it's an unknown day. Okay. It took me longer than I expected to clean my wounds. I'm sorry.
Okay. But we must hurry. My sister Miroku is not someone with much patience.
Yes, let's move on. I'm fine. Shizu and Rin left the forest. Deadly silence fell over the place. The sound of the footsteps walking away faded into nothingness. But from the undergrowth, something was moving. Something shouted in the dark. There, where prying eyes never rest their vision or heart. And the one carrying said pain seemed to be an innocent girl. Tears streamed down the porcelain face, almost as if nature itself was saddened by sullying such a pure face. The poor disorientated girl was hidden from reach of the world, but hunger interrupted her wailing.
Mum, where are you? Why did you leave me here?
She whispered in a tone lower than the flapping of a bee's wings. As she was submerged in her darkness, a ray of sunlight illuminated her face. Almost like a call to courage and adventure to leave that place. The warmth of the Star King invited her to give life a chance. To leave her shall. She answered sheepishly, resting her long, thin, spidery hands on the outside of her shelter. She looked with insecurity and fear at her surroundings. Despite being a monster, She was afraid. Of what? That only she could know. Without confidence, she stepped out of the darkness and into the forest, which was slowly becoming more shrouded in mist. The girl walked feebly, placing her feet on the deciduous leaves on the ground, and totally lost. Inside, she was sorrowful that her mother was gone. She knew that she was gone. She had left her behind. Although for some monsters that was common and natural, she couldn't help but feel alone and without a place in the hostile world. Tears welled up in her eyes from time to time. Her crying was silenced by herself. She didn't want to be a bother to anyone else, but in turn, she didn't want to disappear. She felt that her existence had become a mistake, and therefore she too was going to disappear. With nowhere to go, with no one to help her. But after a long walk, she stopped dead. She wasn't alone. The wind brought with it the sound of another wail, similar to her own. There was someone else, somewhere, lost. She looked for who it was, with both curiosity and fear, until she found it. It was a boy. He seemed lost. She saw herself reflected in that boy. I'm sure he's like me, she thought. She hesitated whether she should approach him or not. So, she watched him in silence for a few minutes. She followed him until she decided to appear before him. I will put him to the test. If he runs away from my appearance, then I don't deserve any more chances. But if he doesn't escape, then this boy will be the one destined for me. She came out of hiding, trying to avoid scaring him like a predator would its prey. The boy's reaction was something she never imagined or expected. That boy, from his tender innocence, smiled. That smile spread to that girl. Are you lost too? He asked her. She lowered her head in the act of shyness, and as she looked at her tired feet, she replied, That's right. The boy wiped away his tears, took her by the hand and said, Don't cry. We'll find our way home. Aren't you afraid of me? Aren't you terrified of my face and hands? I'm a monster, and you... The confused boy simply replied, Monster? Why do you say you're a monster? I only see a girl who shouldn't cry anymore. He held her hand tight, and she was silent as he led her through the woods. But that furtive meeting ended when, upon reaching the nearest town, everyone was stunned to see what he did not return alone. The adults quickly separated their hands and wiped the smile from their faces. What's your name? She yelled as she was pushed into the thicket of the forest. Saichi! He yelled at her as they pulled him away from her. Saichi! She whispered non-stop as she melted into the mist and undergrowth. He's different. She walked while looking for food and rest, but she never left the place. She decided to wait until the day Saichi and Coco get back together. Well, I hope you enjoyed that playthrough of Void of Desires. I do think that alternate chapter, the Blind Love, is probably the worst fate we could have. I mean, either we are completely isolated with her in pain, or without pain. But either way, our life is over. As always, if you want to check out the game, I'll leave the link in the description below. If you've enjoyed your time here, then please remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel. But other than that, here is Spooky Day, and I'll catch you next time, guys.